Video games. Are they good or bad? So video games has been part of our society for over like 30 years. Since the 70s, gaming has been part of our rising economy and brought in tons of millions of dollars in. There's many video games to compensate for everybody's needs. There's RPGs, first-person shooters, third-person strategy, adventure / action games. And gaming has taken a new form. There's competitive gaming in the form of esports. There's new innovations in gaming every year, and they want you to know that their product is safe and ready for entertainment. So the media is always looking for new things to point the finger at when something happens. Most of the time they point at video games for like mass shootings and stuff. So from a survey response of mine, they said that's the only thing they look for is negative things about it. So video games are pointed at whenever stuff goes wrong. And video games are not stimulus violence. They have many benefits to them and do not promote violence and aggression. So the problem is that there's been many studies in the past 30 years that has said this, and Kotaku, a website, has mushed all these together and to show why. So in one of them says they took the most violent video games to date and put them in the hands of teenagers and say compared their heart rates before and after. And when they compared these games, and then afterwards they watched the violent film, they had no reaction to it all. Heart rate was down and everything. And all these studies concluded that these information and evidence it's pointless because you're using the most violent games of today. And others studies has been the idea of violence from video games is caused by competitiveness in gaming and by stress of the games itself. But this is pointless too, because in everyday life we consider competitiveness in sports, we are more easily agitated. And stress in things we cope with every day, and we're more easily agitated when we're dealing with huge amounts of stress. And video games can produce these effects because they're just like any other sport we deal with in everyday life. So there has been a study by the APA, or American Physiological Association, says there is a link between video games and violence. But later on stated in the same article, it says it's one factor out of many risk factors. So in conclusion, if you take in a broad sense, the good of video games outweighs the bad, and video games violence promotes only a small portion of the other risk factors involved. So, and mass media today, we have seen multiple school shootings, and one comes to mind relating to video games the most, Sandy Hook. But Sandy Hook, you gotta think as there's many risk factors involved. The shooter, yes, he did play video games, and he had mostly had first-person shooters, which you take the control of a person to shoot and kill people. So, but if you think of this, you also gotta think about the personality and mental health he was in. According to DailyMail.com, the guy was mentally unstable. His parents didn't make him take his medicine, which was to help him cope with his mental illness. So no medicine and no filter on this guy makes him more of a risk to people in violence, and this is where the media has pointed fingers at video games. But this isn't the case. Video games is a small factor of it. And video games are very adaptive. People and developers want the feedback from us, the consumer, to improve their video games and to provide a better entertainment experience. So the solution is, it's simple. There's many options available, like the ESRB. This comes straight from the website. The Entertainment Software Rating Board provides concise and objective information about the content and video games apps work, so consumers, especially parents, can make informed choices. So if you follow this guide, and it's clearly stated, early childhood. So small kids, probably want to stick to the C's, E for everyone, and then E, 10 plus, T for teen. And mature, if you're not mature enough to play a game, then you probably shouldn't buy it. And 75% of people said that, and my survey says, that violence is not a result of video games. And there's many benefits to gaming. Play video games, they're good for you. They increase the time you have, not really, but it keeps you off the streets. And like parents, this is definitely a big choice for you. Yeah, video games can be like brain rotting, but it's not true. They can keep you off the streets. Who wants their kids to do cocaine on the streets and possibly involved in jail? So, and they have filters and settings in games, and you can take profanity off or blood and gore and stuff like that. And it has many benefits to you. And like good job-related skills, executive functioning, like as in memory, perception, and attention span. So in job-related skills, you act quick decisions. You got to act quick on video gaming. And short-term as memory, as in college of working memory, and it helps you in the workspace. And hand-eye coordination helps you in sports, everyday life. You have your hand-eye coordination in use. And it's many cognitive purposes, and most people knew about this in my survey. 75%, only 25% knew it. And increased social interaction between the people, and definitely like MMORPGs or multiple massive online gaming. There's increased interaction. Over 5 million people have subscribed to World of Warcraft. And it takes in all different cultures and people and match it up in one place to play a video game. So many video games fit your needs. They compensate for what you like. Play, as someone said in my survey, says, play video games in moderation. If your kids can't handle video games, don't allow them to play the most violent video games like 18 plus. So play video games. They're good for you. They have many benefits, job-related skills, quick decision-making, visual processes, and executive functioning like memory and attention and perception. It's the only bad things when other risk factors are involved, like in the case of Sandy Hook, where there's many risk factors involved. Video games are only a small portion of those risk factors. So video games continue to innovate and to expand. They want your feedback to make it more safe and secure and provide a better entertainment for all of us. So go buy a video game and explore the world and take in tons of fun for yourself.